Thing one tonight, Mike Pence is the greatest vice president ever at sucking up to Donald Trump. Luckily for the president, Pence never gives anything less than 100% performed devotion. But when the VP takes the act out on the road, well, let's just say he doesn't quite get the same reaction.
I bring greetings from a great champion of freedom and of strong national defense who has worked with these members of Congress to strengthen America's military might and to strengthen the leadership of the free world. I bring greetings from the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Oof. Oh. On the official transcript of that speech, they misspelled silence as applause. True story. It's in there. But that happens all over the world.
Bring greetings from a friend to every nation gathered here and a champion of peace and security in the Middle East. I bring greetings from the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Hello, I'm sorry, is this on? It's actually a bit painful. I mean, the guy got a better reaction introducing Space Force.
President Trump will also sign a new space policy directive that will lay out our plans and our timeline to create the new sixth branch of the armed forces, the U.S. Space Force.
A U.S. Space Force update is thing two in 60 seconds. New polling shows that most of the country is against President Trump's manufactured national emergency, and now 16 states have sued him to stop it. But at an event in the White House today, Trump sounded quite confident that he and his wall would prevail.
I think in the end, we're going to be very successful with the lawsuit. So it was filed in the Ninth Circuit, and I actually think we might do very well even in the Ninth Circuit because it's an open and closed case. I was put here for security, whether it's Space Force, which we're doing today, or whether it's borders.
Space Force and borders. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if he would just focus on the Space Force? Nobody really knows what the heck it is, but it does keep moving ahead. Today, Trump signed a new directive directing the Pentagon to draft legislation that would establish the Space Force as a sixth branch of the military. Weirdly, he signed the directive with a giant black magic marker that looks exactly like Mr. Spock's coffin in The Wrath of Khan, but that is the future.
It's the future. It's where we're going. I suspect whether we like it or not, that's where we're going. It's space. That's the next step, and we have to be prepared. Our adversaries, and whether we get along with them or not, they're up in space, and they're doing it, and we're doing it, and that's going to be a very big part of where the defense of our nation, and you could say offense, but let's just be nice about it, and let's say the defense of our nation is going to be.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.